London, autumn 1894. The fog was particularly dense that evening, a grey shroud that coiled around the lamplights of Baker Street like the fingers of a ghost, reluctant to let go. Rain tapped softly on the window panes of 221B, and the soot-smeared glow of gaslight barely penetrated the gloom. Inside, a hush lingered, broken only by the crackling of the hearth and the deliberate scratch of a pen on paper. Sherlock Holmes sat hunched at his desk, surrounded by a semicircle of telegrams and editions of the Times, their crisp edges curling slightly from overhandling. The usual scent of pipe tobacco had been overtaken by the more acrid aroma of ink and dust. Holmes's eyes, sharp and pale like steel tempered in thought, darted over each line with the intensity of a man unraveling the seams of reality itself. Dr. John Watson returned from Queen's Hospital with the weariness of midnight duty still clinging to his bones. His boots left damp footprints on the floorboards as he entered. "You've not moved, Holmes," Watson remarked, as he placed his hat and coat on the rack. "Is it the fog keeping you indoors or something far more compelling?" Holmes, without lifting his gaze, murmured, "A cipher, Watson. A singularly cunning one, hidden within 5 seemingly innocuous advertisements published in the Times over the past week." Watson approached, taking the offered clippings. Advertisements for umbrellas, antique furniture, rare spices, odd choices to hide a message. "Not odd," Holmes replied, his voice clipped with purpose. "Ingenious. Each ad has specific letters bolded, too deliberately to be a typesetter's error, and numerical anomalies that defy typical catalog formatting. This isn't marketing. It's a whisper meant to reach the right ears." With ruler, string, and magnifying glass, Holmes guided Watson through the decoding. Letters were extracted and reordered, forming a fragmented but coherent message. East Wing, midnight, October 14, shadows no. Holmes looked up, the flicker of a smile at the edge of his lips. "Someone is reaching out under the guise of commerce, and I believe we are their intended audience." The night of October 14th arrived cloaked in rain. The hansom cab trundled through East London's winding lanes until it halted before the rusted gates of Wexley Estate, an abandoned mansion of crumbling brick and ivy-choked windows. Legend whispered that the estate had been forsaken after a series of unexplained vanishings in the 1860s. At the stroke of midnight, as Big Ben groaned in the distance, a side door creaked open. Holmes, Watson, and the lantern's flickering glow stepped into a world trapped in time. The wallpaper had peeled like ancient scrolls, and chandeliers above swayed as if unsettled by unseen motion. Then a voice, firm, feminine, and edged with caution, pierced the silence. "You deciphered the message, then?" A figure emerged from the dark, a young woman in damp academic robes, her eyes lit with equal parts fear and resolve. "My name is Clara Benwick," she said. "My father is missing, and I believe he left that cipher for me, through you." Clara explained that her father, Professor Nathaniel Benwick of Oxford, had disappeared 2 weeks prior. But before he vanished, he left her with only a cryptic phrase: "If they come for me, the cipher will find you safe." Her father had been researching a dangerous relic, an ancient scroll passed down through generations, rumored to contain forbidden knowledge, encrypted in lost tongues. He suspected that a shadowy society, the Order of Shadowglass, sought it not for study, but for power. "And this house?" Watson asked. "My grandfather's. He was an explorer and a mathematician. He built this estate with secrets buried in its walls. My father believed the Order would search here last, because it hides in plain sight." Holmes, intrigued, swept his lantern beam along the paneling. His hand paused over a decorative molding carved with Fibonacci spirals and alchemical glyphs. "There's something more beneath," he whispered. Behind a false bookcase, triggered by pressing a faded inkwell, a spiral staircase wound downward into the earth. Lanterns lit the descent into a subterranean chamber, lined with machines, astrolabes, planetary gear systems, and a vast mural etched into the floor, showing constellations aligned with ancient cities. On a stone pedestal sat a sealed scroll case, adorned with serpent motifs. An inscription loomed above the vault in Latin. Quod est in tenebris, videbitur lucis tempori. What is in the dark shall be seen in the light of time. As Holmes deciphered the mechanism, Clara, guided by intuition or ancestral memory, adjusted a dial on the wall. A whirring filled the chamber. A vault opened with a hiss of pressure, revealing ancient parchments inked with Greek, Sumerian, and an unidentifiable code. Watson reached out. "Wait," Holmes warned. This is bait. The cipher wasn't meant to hide. It was meant to lure." Then came the footsteps. Masked figures emerged from the upper stairwell, their eyes gleaming behind iron mesh. Leading them was a tall man with a serpent ring, its gem shaped like an eye. "You were meant to come, Holmes," he hissed. "You always take the bait." Holmes glanced at the scroll, then at Clara and Watson. "And you, sir, must be the keeper of glass." The man tilted his head. "You presume much. The Order is older than empires. That scroll you so revere, it doesn't merely record history, it bends it. We cannot allow it to vanish again." Holmes produced a vial from his coat. Quicklime. He held it above the scroll. "Step back," he said, "or this knowledge dissolves into nothing but smoke and regret." The Order hesitated. Holmes's voice turned to steel. "Watson, Clara, now." Watson dashed toward the marked tunnel. Holmes threw the lantern to the floor, flames leaping upward in protest. Chaos erupted as smoke choked the chamber, and masked men scrambled to extinguish the blaze. The trio escaped into the catacombs, their path a twisting maze beneath the city's bones, finally emerging at dawn beside the mist-veiled Thames, their breaths ragged with exertion and soot. Back at Baker Street, Clara placed the scroll in a steel case, bound for the deepest vaults of Oxford. "I will protect it," she vowed. "But I fear they will never stop." Holmes nodded, flipping through the translated pages he had photographed overnight. "This scroll speaks not of prophecy, but of choice, of consequence. It is not dangerous by nature. It is dangerous because men crave control over the unknown." Watson leaned back in his chair. "And what of the Order?" Holmes's eyes darkened. "They will vanish. Then they will return. That is the nature of shadows. But next time," he looked out toward the dawn light slanting through the window. "Next time, we shall be ready. I will be ready." Outside, the Morning Chronicle screamed headlines. "Fire consumes forgotten mansion. No casualties reported." Holmes allowed himself a rare smile. "The game, my dear Watson, is not only afoot, it walks in darkness."